offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need.
Wow!
Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better.
This is something that you can't refuse.
Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts or call them at 466-4938.
Good evening, listeners, and welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Show. I am the Honorable Spencer Brand, sitting in for our great host this evening, Everett Webber Herbert. Let me take this opportunity to say a very pleasant good evening to Mr. Herbert and to the hard-working staff here at Vaughan Radio. Good evening to the many listeners here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and those who are listening down the island trains in the Caribbean all the way down to Trinidad, Guyana, South America, all those who are in the British and United States Virgin Islands, up to the North American continent of the United States and Canada, and over the pond to Europe, Great Britain and France and Spain, and all of those countries who are normally tuned into this very worldwide listening show. Tonight we will be having two segments. In the first segment we will be having a very special guest with us here tonight, and in the month of October we will be celebrating quite a number of activities here on the island of Nevis, and I would even dare say worldwide. Here we are celebrating Mental Health Day and Mental Health Month during the month of October. And tonight we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Macmillan Coffey from the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center here on the island of Nevis, and he's a counselor and supervisor. We'll be having a brief conversation for the next few minutes. Mr. Coffey, welcome to this edition of the Let's Talk Show, and good evening.
Good evening, Honorable. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. Let me say a pleasant good night to all our listeners, fan-wide. Let me, say good night to the staff here at Vaughan Radio, and it's always a pleasure being here. I think it's like every year now we can see that around this time, it's like a customary thing now to hear my voice on the airwaves of Vaughan Radio. So it's a pleasure being here. Thank you very much for having us.
Okay, Mr. Coffey, mental health is now featuring very prominent in a wide section of our community. There are persons who are facing some challenges, and I believe that our mental health unit is trying to wrestle with those challenges on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
From where you sit, I know, as I said, we are celebrating World Mental Health Day on Thursday, the 10th of October.
That's right.
And I believe that one of your goals is to try and bring some awareness to the general public
Absolutely.
about mental health. So can you tell us, one, what are some of the activities that you will be having, and how the unit is really coping with some of the challenges that you are facing?
Sure. So let's start with the activities. Today is Tuesday, and today actually we had a screening day where we did some, the regular blood sugar, pressure screening, urinalysis, and also coupled with that was some psychological testing like anxiety, depression, and there's also a tool that we use, the brief symptom rating scale for depression and suicide. So we had that today. That was a feature for today. The week actually started on Sunday with a church service at the Ebenezer Church over in Gingerland, and on Monday we had recreation and sports day for the clients. This morning also, before the screening, we had an award ceremony, and this year we actually focused on the pioneers of mental health here on the island of Nevis, persons who we really consider the trailblazers. So we honored 3 ladies actually. Miss Joya Walters, who was there most recently as the manager. We had Miss Irene Clark, who was the first manager of mental health unit here on Nevis, and we had, of course, Miss Meredith Amrifield. So these ladies were honored in a very special way. We want to give thanks to TDC for really making that possible, the way they want to actually sponsor the plaques, the appreciation plaques. And I felt really happy that we were able to honor these ladies, because as I said this morning, weren't it for them, our work would not have been it would have been much more challenging than it is today, because they set a really strong foundation in the mental health services here on Nevis, and as a result we are able to carry on that work. So kudos to them, hats off to them, and congratulations to the work that they have done. So we are that as I said today. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we don't have any planned activities, but we'll continue our normal duties. And on Thursday, which is actually World Mental Health Day, is actually the day, and we are encouraging everybody, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're just going down to Charleston to do some errand, wear something green. Green is the color that's associated with mental health. So wear something green on Thursday. And on Thursday, that's really the highlight of the weeks of activities. We're having a symposium, and the symposium it's a closed event, but the target of the audience really are PSCs and heads of department. The theme for World Mental Health Day this year is "It's time to prioritize mental health in the workplace." And so what we've done is we have collaborated with the Human Resource Department to do a workshop, really looking at employee assistance program. There'll be three sessions. One dealing with microaggression in the workplace by one of the counselors at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, Mr. Claxton. Then I will come in, I will do work-life balance, how we balance that personal life and our work life. And then, as I said, the flagship activity will be that by HR, looking at EAP. And Minister Branner, I'm sure you will agree that already NIA is doing, quite a bit in terms of employees, in terms of assistance and so on. And as it sounds like a big term, employee assistance program. But really and truly is, what is the government doing to assist its employees? So for instance, I know that there's a group insurance. Once you become a part of NIA, you become a part of that group, and then that is paid really for no cost of the employee. And that is something we assist persons to do professional development, go overseas and study. That is, employee assistance. So there's a lot going on already, but we think that we can probably try to make it a bit more structured. And the question really is, are we doing enough? Can we do more? What would the PSCs and heads of department, what is their vision for an EAP in the NIA? And so that is really the focus of the symposium. And so that happens on Thursday, and on Friday we the staff will work up to 1, we'll close to the public and have a retreat for staff, just come together and just that's just our time to decompress, self-care, take care of our own selves, and to bring down the curtain on the week of activities. On Saturday we'll have a walk, Let's Get Physical walk, and that starts at the Malcolm Gishard Park. That starts at registration 5:30, warm up 5:45, and the walk. No, actually, warm up starts at 5:30, and the walk actually starts at 5:45, and is from Malcolm Gishard onto Peonies, onto the Bypass Road, onto Pump Road, down to the roundabout, onto Honkins Drive, down to Tongue, and then it ends up on the Bayfront and back to Peonies onto the Malcolm Gishard Park. Again, we want to say thank you to the Republic Bank. They are the sponsors of that event. Made available a trophy for the overall winner, and also 2 medals for the most senior person who completes that work first and the youngest person. And so we give thanks to our donors and those who have collaborated with us. Today for the screening, the Bank of Nevis and the ICDF on Taiwan were the sponsors for that program. So we really want to give a big shout out to all our sponsors out there. Without them we cannot do it all. And it's good to see that persons are embracing mental health, and seeing the importance of it. Before persons is an area that is not so sexy. Persons shy away from it, but now we see more persons coming on board, and we want to just say a big thank you. So basically, that's the week of activities, sir.
Well, thank you for your very comprehensive outline of the week of activities. I want to join with you and congratulate the 3 pioneers, Joya Walters, Irene Clark, and Meredith Amber Fields. I believe that when these ladies would have started in this field, I believe that it was met with quite some resistance.
I'm sure.
And it came along with certain type of stigma and so on.
Absolutely.
But I believe that mental health is very important throughout the entire spectrum of the island's development. I want to ask, not to get into any specific numbers or any intimate detail or information. From where you sit, do you see that there continue to be an increase in the numbers when it comes to mental health care? Are we seeing an increase in more and more mentally health patients that is needing mental health?
Okay, so that's, I would say yes, and unfortunately in especially in the areas of addiction among our young persons, that age group between say 17 to 39 is I would say a very vulnerable group and persons at risk because of the introduction of new drugs and just addiction in itself, alcohol, marijuana. To be honest with you, we don't really have much reported cases of harder drugs. But the thing about the marijuana now is that there is the lab strains coming in, the synthetic drugs coming in, and that's causing a serious problem in our society. And so, yes, unfortunately, we did in 2022 we did a study to look at the not prevalence, but just the situation of the mental health situation on Nevis, and what we found out was that group was at risk.
Okay, well, that is some pertinent information that I believe that the general public would certainly be interested in, and I certainly would want to encourage our young people. You say between the age of 17 to 39,
a productive age.
When I look at those numbers, that is our most productive years.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage our young people to develop an attitude of a different pathway than becoming addicted to these kind of substances. You spoke about a symposium with the permanent secretaries and heads of department. Is there a particular theme for that symposium?
Right. Good question. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the theme, the global theme for World Mental Health Day, it is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace. So the focus is mental health in the workplace. And so we thought about it and we say, well, what? How can we improve mental health among persons in the workplace? All right. And so in keeping with the theme, an employee assistance program, counseling services, for persons who may be struggling, whether it's in their personal life, their professional life, or both. Are we doing enough? What can we do to provide services to ensure that these people get the services that they need to live a healthier, more productive life? And so the other thing is that with a more productive workforce, we have a more productive service, right? And so it's a win-win. So basically the idea is to look at what we are already doing, and I mean we have to commend the NIA for what it's already doing, because as I say, even though it may not be looked at as an EAP, the point is things are already being done, but we can build on that. So basically that's the focus. What can we do? Can we do more to build a healthier workforce? And if we have a healthier workforce, then we can have a more productive public service.
So do you find that there is a lot of conflict? I note you are talking to the PS, permanent secretaries, and the heads of department. Mm-hmm. Do you find that there is quite a lot of requests for conflict resolution within the workplace in terms of perhaps workers are not getting on, and I know in sometimes in these small spaces where persons have to work on a day-to-day basis, there always tend to be that tension and friction. But do you see that there is a great need for that kind of service?
I think so. As to the how huge a problem it is, I can't really say, because we've never really did a study especially to look at that specifically. But you know what I think? I mean, when you look at us as human beings in small spaces with different personalities and we're just different. We is almost expected that there will be some kind of friction. Sometimes I guess it's manageable, but other times you need intervention, and that's everywhere.
Yes,
everywhere. So yes.
Mr. Coffey, one final question. It has to do with I know that this is a topic that I believe we are now seeing coming to the fore. And do you get the sense that there are persons who find themselves in these difficult positions that are not willing to access the services that your department provides?
Yeah, that's an absolute yes. And unfortunately, yeah. And you mentioned the word stigma earlier on.
Yeah.
I'm sure when these ladies, the pioneers we spoke about earlier on, it was worse. Yeah. People have come around more in terms of accessing the services, but it is still not where we would like it to be. And especially in a small society like Nevis, where everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. If you were to walk in to this gate in Prospect and told someone you're going to see Mr. Coffey, the first thing they think is that, no, what's wrong with Honorable Spencer Brand now? They don't think that you've come to see me in another capacity. It's just amazing how that association with any mental health services is so heavily stigmatized. And to answer your question in a short, yes, this stigma is still a real issue that prevents persons from accessing the services that they need to when they need it. And it's just very, very sad. And to make matters worse, not just the stigma, but it's the discrimination of persons living with mental illness. And so it almost makes persons feel ashamed of having to deal with a condition that, if persons know that they look down upon them, like they are less of. And so persons rather not come forward and struggle, within themselves than to seek the services. And that's really, really unfortunate. And that's why we are here trying to promote mental health and try to improve the service and make it more accessible to persons.
Well, I want to encourage you, certainly, and the entire team there at the Ministry of Health the staff there at the mental health unit. I certainly want to encourage them to continue to do this very important work. It is, in my mind, a job that I feel that can help to elevate and motivate persons who are going through some very difficult period in their life.
Absolutely.
We spoke about the addiction component of it, and I think that in itself creates quite a different set of challenges. But I want to encourage you, certainly want to encourage the entire team there at our mental health unit. We are celebrating World Mental Health Day on Thursday the 10th of October. I noticed though that October is often filled with a lot of celebrations.
Yes.
Mr. Coffee, any final words before you leave?
Just to say thank you very much for having me on the program. You know, it was a pleasure, always a pleasure being here, and thank you for allowing us to get the word out there, you know. And I just want to wish you guys all the best, you know, with the program that you all know. You all are considered the heavyweights. So heavyweights imply that the level of discussion that goes in here is of top notch. So, you know, kudos to you guys, continue the work that you're doing, and thanks for giving me some time off in the program tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Right. Thank you for coming, and we certainly are here to, I know Van Radio is here to impart the necessary information to the general public. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Just had a brief conversation with Mr. Macmillan Coffey from our Behavioral Health and Wellness Center here on the island of Nevis, celebrating World Mental Health Day on Thursday the 10th of October. And they have planned a week of activities, and one of the activities certainly would be the mental health walk on Saturday, and I certainly want to encourage the general public to participate in that mental health walk. I believe he said that registration starts at 5:30. That's early enough for you, Naya? 5:30.
I'm usually up.
And we certainly want to encourage the general public to go on out and participate in that mental health walk. They would have also conducted some screening that was done today, blood sugar, urinalysis, and I also did some checks for signs of persons who might be showing signs of depression and suicide tendencies. So it's very important work, and I want to express our sincere thanks to the ICBF and the Bank of Nevis, who would have sponsored some aspects of this week. We also had sponsorship from TDC, group of companies, and of course the general public who would have contributed to this very important cause here on the island of Nevis. I look at mental health as something that is extremely important, because without mental health you really can't accomplish much. Naya, good evening. We now go into our second segment. We are going to take a quick break and come back.
Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need.
Wow!
Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts, or call them at 466-4938.
Edition of this edition of our Let's Talk program on this 8th of October 2024. And in our first segment, we certainly had Mr. Macmillan Coffey from our mental health unit. And for the second segment, we now have Conrad Nair Libert. Good evening, Nair.
Good evening, Honorable Spencer Brand, and good evening to the staff here at Von Radio, the hard-working staff, as I always say, here at Von Radio, to my colleague, Mr. Frank Hill. Pleasant good evening to all my friends once again tuned to this program that we gather here to be a part of every Tuesday night, almost every Tuesday night, a program that's been running almost for or beyond one generation, over 30 something years. And when I think about that, I sometimes like to hail up the foundation members, people like Mr. Theodore Hobson and people like Mr. Stanley. I say a pleasant good evening to you both. Once again, folks, I'm happy to be here. And let me get up my friends in the international circle, as I always do. My friend in Connecticut, Mr. Libert, and my friends in Toronto, my daughter Makita in Toronto also, in tune to the program. I say a pleasant good evening to you guys. Yes, of course, we can have a great discussion this evening, as we always do. And I suppose we can set some lights and maybe get closer to some solutions dealing with the various circumstances that we are always being faced with. I want to say thank you again, Mr. Brand, and I want to say thank you to the Von Radio family for having me once again.
Roger Fifield.
Good evening, Honorable, and good evening to the viewing and listening public. I'm really happy to be here this evening once again to share what little I know, and of course, as I always say, to learn from you, the general public. It's like say special good evening to all those who listening home and abroad. I was told earlier this afternoon that we have persons who stay up in England just to listen to us on a Tuesday night, and we know the time difference, something like 4 to 5 hours difference. So a special good evening to those in the UK who might be listening, and those in the USA and further afield. Tonight, Mr. Brand, with your permission, I would like to speak a little sports. I think that sports is in the air. We have ongoing the primary school championship. I think it might be the
Football championship,
the primary school football championship. I think it might be the National Bank.
That's good.
I think it's Nevis Anglia National Bank primary school championship. I understand that there were games this evening and a number of persons attended, but I was there on Sunday, and believe me, I was pleasantly surprised with the number of persons, Mr. Brand, that were there to witness the games. I think there were something like at least 3 games at different times. Some games playing, there were 2 fields, and games were playing, at the same time. And I think that it's really something that we need to go out, encourage the youngsters. Most of the players are males. Of course, some of the teams, have female representing them, and that I think should be encouraged, because some of the schools are smaller schools and may not have the talent and the numbers, to make up an 11 all male 11. So I want to say kudos to all the teams who have females in them, give them that exposure, because we know that football now, more so. When I was growing up, I can't recall there was ever a football team. And now we have female football teams here on island, playing in the St. Kitts Nevis Football League and so forth, Mr. Brand. So I think that is something, for us to all go out and look at, to continue to encourage the children. Cricket, the CPL just concluded there, and I want to say congratulations to the St. Lucia Kings. Of course, I'm patriotic, and I was supporting the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots. And after they did make the Final Four, I switch allegiance, and I started to back the Kings. One of the reasons why I support the Kings, it's a franchise that is based in one of the small islands, St. Lucia, and they have players that I support. I'm a Johnston Charles fan, and I support Johnston Charles. I support Darren Sammy from the very beginning, since he made his test debut back in England, when I think it might have been 7 or 8 wickets on debut when he made his debut in Test cricket in England. And I always supported him. I think that he's very tactical. He showed it in the 2 World Cup, T20 World Cups that he won as captain, and now he's showing it as a coach. And I want to say kudos. But I don't know if we can probably dive a little deeper, because I know someone may say that yes, it's franchise cricket, and it's not an island or country, players that would probably make up the squad, the team, the 11. But I want to believe that the CPL, the Caribbean Premier League, came into being for a number of reasons, including seeking or scouting out talents from the Caribbean region. And I am not seeing the talent, the exposure, if I want to put it a better way, the exposure of our local Caribbean people. I'm not seeing enough of it in the squads. I'm not seeing enough of it in the 11. Are we saying that we do not have the talent, or we do not wish to expose our own? When we look at the IPL, the Indian Premier League, we see a number of youngsters, Indian youngsters, playing for the various franchises, and they are getting the feet wet, so to speak. And that is where most of them, get the feet wet, and they get into the Indian team, and they move on from there. I mean, when we look at the Guyana franchise, for example, the opening bat, the pronunciation of the name is eluding me. I think it's Gobabrach. I may pronounce it a little wrongly, but he's just 22 years old. He played last year. He went off this year for national duties. He came back, and he didn't do well in the finals. But when we look at him at an age of 22, we look around, barring possibly Antigua, the Antigua Falcons, when we have Joel Andrew, sorry. I think he's 17 years old. And he would have gotten a chance to play for the Falcons. In his first game against, I think it's his Patriots, he made a half century.
He did very well.
Yes, and he batted with a level head, with a sense of maturity. But he fell off. But what we are seeing now, he would have played for the under-19 West Indies team. He would have then went on to play for the Antigua senior team, the Leeward Island senior team, and then the Antigua senior team recently, the 50 over competition that just concluded. I think it might have been over the weekend. But now he is actually in the ODI squad to travel to Sri Lanka later this month, and I must say congratulations to him. And I am saying, I want to see, I don't know how you, my fellow panelists, how you feel about it. If there should be some clause, I know there are clauses, but maybe the clause probably need to be revisited, and to have maybe at least, I wouldn't say, let's just think it's players from St. Kitts Nevis per se, but at least players from the Caribbean. You have in some cases a 15-man squad, some cases up to 18 players in a squad. I am saying, if we're having 18 players in a squad and we are looking to develop our cricket. We want to go back to the heyday of the Vivian Richards, the Clive Lloyds, you know, the Kalcharan and stuff like that. I mean, we have to invest. We may not, you know, be winning. The reality is we cannot just reach the level of the IPL just like that overnight. That's the reality. So I believe that we need to probably, you know, rethink and you know, bring in our youngsters. There's a young lad that represented us in the 50 overall. He's a spin bowler. The name is eluding me. He played in the 10-10 when they had the 60-60 that Gale that Gale. The name, oh Lord, Carmichael, Jaden Carmichael. That's the name. I thought that he might have been able to be in the St. Kitts Navy squad. I mean, what happened to Mr. Amri? That's Mr. Amri, the son of Karen Claxton. You know, Karen Claxton Amri. I mean, he made the West Indies under 19 team. These are people that we should be looking at. You know, what happened to Mr. Tuckett Bowen? You know, these are people who would have played, youngsters who would have played for the under 19 West Indies team. So I am saying, and there's another young chap, the son of Sammy. The name, Lord, I'm not good with names, but Sammy is his dad. Sammy that works Best Buy. You know, I mean, these are youngsters, and I'm sure there are some on the sister aisle too. You know, but these are youngsters that I think that could have formed part, even though they may not have break into the 11. I am saying just being around the team, being around the squad, the experience that you can pick up, you can piggyback on the experienced guys, you know, Nokia and those guys who have played international cricket, you know, try to pick them their brain, find out, you know, how you bowl certain deliveries when certain batsmen are in and stuff like that. I mean, I believe that, you know, they could have only done well being around the squad, gentlemen.
Naya?
Well, yeah, I will say experience by association, but I don't know. I'm a bit distant as it relates to the St. Kitts Nevis team, to be quite honest. Throughout the CPL, I think the St. Kitts Nevis team, the Patriots, is the team that seems to have the less local. Am I correct in that respect?
Quite possibly. We had, I think, just Louis, and then later on the Michael Louis, the opening bat for the West Indies test team, and then later on I think that his brother came in to replace Rutherford.
When it comes to the CPL, to be quite honest, I am not necessarily a Patriot fan in a sense. You know, I back basically any team that I want to win. For that particularly, I wanted St. Lucia to win because they've made it to the finals a few times. Last year I wanted Guyana for some reason. I don't know why. But that's what happened when we don't see our own people playing an important role or being part of in some way or the other of our national team. You know, yes, but I sometimes just can't follow the flag, you know. Sometimes I think personally we got to look at our cricket a lot more serious because we know what cricket have done for us here in Nevis in particular, and I find somewhere along the line we have dropped the ball somewhere along the line, and I think the way forward is to first to admit that. Our sister island is doing well, but it also should be doing a lot better, you know, because I think St. Kitts Nevis cricket has been happening a long time, and it has been of a high standard. so is Antigua. You know, I remember the days of, fierce competitions, fierce competitions going on, and that's when there used to be big crowds at Grove Park, at Warner Park, and of course the Nevis cricket team always being a major player within the Leeward Islands. But I think somewhere along the line we have dropped the ball. Not to say we cannot make it back there, and I hope we can. But as you've been saying, Mr. Fifield, experience by association when it comes to the game is very important, and I believe somebody's aspiration can be easily affected when they are not, feeling a part of, or they find it so difficult to be incorporated in somewhere or the other. I find a player who have represent the the West Indies youth should be considered in some way or the other. But isn't it all about money, really? Isn't it all about money? I think it's about that when it comes to franchise cricket, and it takes that something out of it which is which to me is very important, that would make me want to move from Nevis to go down to St. Kitts to watch the game, because I'm a bit distant from the players. I know there was a Kittitian who have done well in this area and is doing okay on the international scene, and that makes me proud. I am still waiting to see N Division make it back there in a big way. We have had so many players that have been on the West Indies team, and we have people like Keith Atherton who have been in the area of running a cricket academy and turning out youngsters. But I think somewhere along the line, and I always say this, when you recognize talent in cricket or any other sports, they must be encouraged. They must be encouraged in a big way. They must be encouraged. They must know that we are looking at them. We are having great hopes in their success. We must tell them that you can be a national asset, because it's not the politicians and them that make an island known. It's the talent. It's our sports people, our artists, and so forth. And so I think sometimes personal conversation must be had with them, from the high officials and from everybody, because even me myself, when I see certain youths with the bat and the gears and so forth, I always engage them and encourage them and let them know how important it is to become a national asset, to represent the island, and how much it would really benefit not just him, the island, and sometimes the region. So I would like to see more Nevisians and Kittitians be included in the CPL lineup. Because when I look at St. Lucia Kings, I see a few youngsters there. I don't know the name because I'm not really a kind of name person when it comes to the game. But and they're doing well. But I don't see much of that when it comes to the Patriots, and that, of course, makes me feel a bit distant, from our Patriots team, even though they're playing under the flag of the Federation.
Gentlemen, CPL 2024 is now, of course, in the history books. Certainly want to say congratulations to the St. Lucia Kings for capturing the championship for the first time. I believe that they would have made it to the finals on three occasions.
Yes.
Third time. And I believe that they would have, in my mind, played some of the better cricket throughout the entire tournament. My position is that the St. Lucia Kings won the championship from the bench. It's a funny statement, but that is where I felt that they won the championship. They won the championship based on the craftiness and the tactical skills and maneuvering of the management team, in particular Darren Sammy. That is what I observe from a distance. It's a interesting conversation that we are having, but I want to perhaps ask what could be a provoking question. What is the objective of CPL? Is it that this tournament or this fast-paced, exciting game is just to see some return for the franchise owners? What is the objective? Is the objective to see the development of our young, emerging cricketers? Is it just to provide, quote-unquote, a payday for some of the international stars? My question is, what is the objective of CPL? Roger, you spoke about getting back to the heyday of West Indies cricket. I am not convinced that 2020 is going to develop or help to develop to the extent, develop the skill and the talent of some of our cricketers in that kind of setting. I've always believed that the gold standard for me has always been Test cricket. It allows you longer concentration. It allows you the time to make some real assessment of how the first few hours of a game is going, and you can maneuver tactically. So I have always felt that Test cricket is of course the gold standard. The CPL, IPL and all the others that we are having, it's all about entertainment. My question is this format of the game helping to develop our cricketers? I feel that in some instance it can have some benefit. Don't get me wrong. To be in the dressing room with some of these international stars, for a youngster to be sitting and picking the brain of some of these international stars, of course you can have transfer of knowledge and transfer of experience and so on. But my question is CPL the format that will really help West Indies cricket get, and I'm using, Roger, your words, get back to the kind of heyday that we are looking for? I have not really I am not convinced of that as yet. I know when we look at some of the global stars when it comes to 2020, most of them is from the Caribbean. The big names, the Pollard, the
Narayan Russell,
the Narayan, you have those big names that is on the international scene when it comes to CPL. But our Test cricket, what I call the gold standard, what I call the standard that is really going to say, well, you have arrived on the international scene when you come into Test cricket. That is why it's called Test cricket, because it is a test for you to have concentration, batting for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 hours, for a bowler to give you 10 or 15 overs on the trot in the hot sun. That's why it's called a Test cricket. And for us to really get back to that standard and to that level, I am not convinced that CPL is helping us to get to that. It is exciting. I look at some of the stadiums that is filled in colors and all of that. It look good, but is it helping us to develop our quote-unquote gold standard of international cricket? Before you go, we spoke about some of the youngsters, and I, for the same reason, I would be a little cautious to, for example, put someone like Carlon Bowen Tuckett into T20 at this time. I feel that format of the game may not go down to his best development, and there are a couple other youngsters around that I feel that you spoke about the youngster there from Antigua. He had a wonderful game against the Patriots. The next game, they already work out his strengths and his weaknesses, and he fell off dramatically. I felt that the development process, T20 is every ball game, and I think that sometimes, while we would like to see more of our players on the T20 team, I would be a little bit cautious to throw some of our younger players who are doing reasonably well, who are developing into their craft when it comes to mastering the art of getting to the. Now I spoke about getting back our division back on the test team. I would not be so eager to push some of them into some of these T20 games, because I feel that they need to develop their craft, and they need to develop that mental toughness to the point where once you arrive on the international scene and test cricket, then you can make that transition back to T20. But for me personally, I feel that the gold standard is test cricket. Yes, CPL is exciting, and we go on to the games and you listen to all of that, but is it really helping us to develop our youngsters to the level that we would really want? And I go back to where I started on this particular issue. What is the objective of CPL?
Mr. Brand, I would agree with you, and I would debate for and against, in this way, Mr. Brand. I would agree that T20 cricket is not the gold standard. I have no qualms with that. I would agree that the Test cricket is the gold standard and would remain the gold standard, and for all of the reasons and more that you laid out. What we have to understand, Mr. Brand, is that when you're in an environment of winning, you understand what it is to win. You understand how it feels to win. You get in that mode, you get in that rhythm, you get that momentum, and you just continue to win, so to speak. Of course you would lose some, yes. So when I spoke to getting back to that heady, remember back in the 70s, come up 80s and early 90s, I think there were no T20 cricket. There was test and there was the 50 over. Mm-hmm. So when I speak of the heady, I am speaking of winning. So when I speak of the CPL and getting back to the heady, I am speaking of winning. Remember when we won under Darren Sammy the T20 championship, how proud we as West Indian felt. We were on top of the world. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to win. The point is, we are playing 3 formats of cricket, and once these formats have been played, we want to win. We want to win. We want to be able to win. We do not want to lose. We want the win for ourselves. We want it for our fans. We want it for the administration. Look at it. When the team on the field is not doing good, for some reason, just like in basketball, the players and the court, they ain't doing good. It's like you reverse and go back to the management and coaching staff. And who gets sacked most of the time? The coaches, the management team, the administrators. And we would have seen this happen right here in the Caribbean. So I am saying, let's get back to winning on that note. Now, on the field, even though it is T20, we have to understand cricket is basically a three-dimensional game. You have batting, you have fielding, you have bowling. Now, how you may not be able to develop your craft to dig in and bat for hour, 2 hours, maybe even a day, because there's a limit on the number of overs. In Test cricket, you have a 5-day period. But what I am saying, that is probably more so for the batting aspect. But when you are on a field, whether it's T20, it is one-day internationals or Test cricket, you cannot tell me that you cannot develop your fielding skills. I would argue any day. Once you're on the field, you'll be able to develop your fielding skills. Once you are on that field, you'll be able to develop your bowling skill. Just one of those matches, Shamar Joseph, who did well for us down under in Australia some time ago when we won that test match, that famous test match now. You know, you heard the commentators, yes, that's a good test line. You know, so the test cricket and the line and the length, you know, came out in the same T20 matches. So I am saying, you know, whatever we can harness, whatever we can grasp from the CPL, from the T20 cricket, and whatever we can do to translate it, it may not be so much on the batting aspect, but from the feeling. And when you're on the field for T20, in my humble opinion, it makes you sharper. You know, it makes you sharper. It makes you bring out your feeling skills. You dive around. Maybe because, you know, well, it will just be for 20 overs and maybe not for a whole day or two in the field. But the point is, in my opinion, it makes you sharper. You know, the bowling, yes, I know guys like Courtney Walsh, you know, will bowl 10, 12 overs and a chat. Ambrose, you know, Holding, you know, those guys, you know, would bowl those type of overs and bowl them, you know, really reliable. Now, for the T20, is just basically 4 hours. And the captain now have to strategize and say, well, should I bowl this particular bowler, you know, all 4 overs? Should I give them a spell of 1 over, 2 overs? I mean, before T20 cricket, you hardly ever hear, especially in Test cricket, that any bowler getting a spell of 1 over. So it's different. It's different. And if it's different, if we are moving, we must recognize too that some of our players, they do not play all 3 formats. We would have realized, even back as far as back in 1996, I think it was, Cricket World Cup. It might have been a little before that, but when we start to have, you know, the separation, so to speak, of you know, the Test players and the one-day international players, so it started to creep in, you know, from since then. And now we have very few players in the West Indies, you know, who play all 3 formats across the board. Look at our Test captain, Craig Brathwaite. The only cricket that he plays internationally is Test. He's not a part of the one-day squad. He's not a part of the T20 squad. You know, when we look at maybe Azari Joseph, he's the vice captain of the ODI squad. He's a member of the T20 squad. He's a member of the Test squad. You know, so what happens here is that this may be able to help players to learn to adaptability. And if players could adapt from one format to the next, then you know, because they've been able to adapt, you know, that quickly, it possibly would help them to adapt in different climates, you know, different parts of the world. When you go in India and those kind of places, you expect slow turning pitches. When you go in Australia, Perth and them kind of places, you expect, you know, pitches that, you know, that would be conducive to pace. When you go to England, you know, you expect, you know, a climate that the ball would swing and movement and stuff like that. You know, and if, you know, imagine you in England, probably first time to England, and you know, you have on a long sleeve and you out and feel and you're really cold and stuff like that, and you're sent into bat and the place is overcast and the ball is like moving like S and stuff, wobbling. You know, you have to be able to adapt. So if you are able to adapt from T20, ODI and Test, I believe that within you as an individual, it gives rise for you to adapt to other things just as quickly, in my humble opinion.
Do you think, Roger, that the T20 format has had any impact on the West Indies' good fortune, so to speak, when it comes to our test ability, our test ranking and our test standard? What we have seen over the last 5-8 years, where some of the region's premier cricketers have opted not to make themselves available for the West Indies Cricket Board and the West Indies selection, and have opted to make themselves available globally, really, for franchise cricket. Do you feel that that would have had any major impact on how we are doing, so to speak, when it comes to our test cricket?
Yes, it has negatived it. It has weakened it to the fullness. Our true potential is not really being harnessed at all. I believe Pollard could be a good test cricketer if he apply himself. You know, so is the big stars from the Caribbean that play in the IPL. You know, in a big way, it has absolutely weakened it in a big way, and I don't think there can be too much opposition to that, really. And I think, you know, from a little region like the Caribbean, I don't know, that is one of the problems we have to fix, where we see money have taken over, you know, players' commitment to their what I almost refer to their duty, you know, to the region and the islands, really. And it's too blatant sometimes, you know. Some of our best players simply just, and sometimes seem spitefully, just decide to make themselves unavailable, you know, for big matches that would, of course, put us somewhere on the stage once again. And so, to me, West Indies cricket, you know, have been struggling for a while, simply because of that type of I mean, when I look at places like India, I'm not sure if there's that big division as it relates to Test cricket and T20. I see players across the board playing for India to a great extent, but in the Caribbean, I mean, Brathwaite, I never hear about Brathwaite until one day watching, you know, some Test cricket, and like, who is this guy? And he is the captain of the West Indies team. You know, and so yes, it has totally weakened it. That's simply my comment, probably.
Yes, I support Naya wholeheartedly. It has definitely weakened our structure. But what I think, even back in our day going to school, you know, just to hear that you have been selected, whether on the athletic team, the cricket team, the football team, you know, there's this beam of joy, of pride to know that you are representing your school team. And if I may, just segue just for a bit, Honorable. I remember some years ago, I have a nephew, and he was selected some years ago to go to Anguilla. I don't think it mind I speaking about it. To go to Anguilla to represent Nevis in athletics. And for some reason he didn't want it to go. And I spoke to him, and I said to him like this. I said, I just do a little run into, and I never get selected to represent Nevis to go anywhere. You are fortunate to represent Nevis.
So, for a light moment, he was much better than you. He is much better than you.
Of course. You know, but what I'm saying, you know, we have to understand what we want. I said to him then, have you ever been to Anguilla? No. Are you buying your own ticket? No. Are you putting up yourself? No. I said, I'm sure at some point in time you will want to get children. I said, whether you go to Anguilla, you run, you come last, you come first, you come second, you come fifth. The point is, you don't have to tell your children you went Anguilla and you came last. You tell your children, I went Anguilla in such and such a year to represent Nevis in athletics. How many persons on Nevis can put their hands in the air honestly and say that I have represented Nevis in a particular sport? How many? How many of us? And this is the thing I'm saying. And come back to the cricket now. I am saying that it must come from within us as individuals. We must want it. We must understand the pride. Some years ago, under the leadership of Clive Lloyd, the West Indians were taunted by the opposition team. And of course, by our pigmentation, we understand our background. We understand where we came from. And Clive Lloyd said, shh, don't say anything, do not respond. Tomorrow, we'll respond. And what happened? When those pace bowlers took the ball and they ran up and they start to bowl, if you see the documentary and you see the scars all across the chest, even when they turn the back, all across the back, you know, and then the headline change, you know. So what I'm trying to say, the pride, what happened to our pride? What happened to, you know, the feel good, the sense of representing not your island, not your village, but the West Indies, basically the whole of the Caribbean, you are carrying on your back. You know, what happened to that? I mean, this money thing ain't just started. It started way back in Kerry Packer.
Yep.
You know, so it ain't just started. You know, when a number of our first choice West Indian stars went to South Africa and they left us high and dry. But the abundance of talent that we had at the point in time was basically enough, you know, to stay afloat. But Bran, back to the substantive point, so to speak. I believe, yes, that it has, when you really look around, I do not believe, I'm subjected to correction here, I do not believe that Pollard ever played a test match cricket. A test match, sorry. And I believe that he has the pedigree to play test cricket. Well, maybe not now, but then. when we look at a Nicholas Purang, where he has come from, I mean, many of us may not know, but you must give this man a lot of kudos. When this man was a teenager, this man got in an accident. Was told that he may never walk again. But look at him now. You know, the commitment, you know, to overcome. When we look at Hetmeyer was the West Indies under 19 captain that took us to the under 19 World Cup championship. Same Nicholas Purang was in his team. The same Azari Joseph, amongst others, were in that team. You know, where is he now? You know, and sometimes I wonder, because sometimes we were told that, oh, he's not fit enough, he didn't pass the fitness test.
He's a troublemaker.
Give me a break. You know, I mean, you know, this man would have been producing, and he can't make a team because, you know, of fitness. You know, when we look at what's his name? He opened for the Patriots from Trinidad, the defender, Lewis. I'm gonna get the name. The name is gonna come. But when we look at a Narayan, when we look at a Russell, these are all players with the talent that I believe, you know, could have been playing.
But West Indies proud.
Yes.
But gentlemen, we recently saw the completion of the, I believe it was the recent World Cup.
In June?
Yeah. And somewhere I saw some of the payouts for the various teams. Australia, England, those guys get serious dollars. When I look at the numbers, I wish I had the chart in front of me. When I look at the numbers for the West Indies team, is it that the West Indies cricket team is also suffering from, well, serious motivation, one, financially, and is it that as a Caribbean, as a region, we do not necessarily have the financial wherewithal to retain most of our players? Because a lot of these quote unquote stars are basically going to places where the bottom line, or as we would say, the return on their talent is such that they are not minded to stay in the Caribbean and represent the West Indies. Is it that the motivation is such that when they look at what the Caribbean is offering, or what the West Indies Cricket Board is offering, versus a franchise in India, versus a franchise in England or in Australia, so well, it's not worth the bother. How do we as a region then seek to, one, retain our premier players, and two, I know that we have developed this mechanism now of this retainer contract where players are...
That's not working.
Well...
It's not working. You know, what happened is that the cricketing board, you know, they, in my opinion, thought that they could have a hold on certain players by encouraging them to take retainer contracts, and you would have to seek permission, you know, to play at certain times and stuff like that. And what these cricketers realize well, let's forget about West Indies, because I can go to India, I can go to Pakistan, I can go to the Big Bash, I can go to, and make monies and feed my family. So now you realize now that some of these players are opted not to take the retainer contract, the essential contracts. I think what they did at some point in time, they try to grade them. You may be A, B, C, D, etc. That too, I think didn't work. Sometimes we just have to be realistic, maybe with as much pride as we want, to show. Sometimes reality comes in. When we look at Shama Joseph and where he comes from. He comes from Guyana, but we're in Guyana. He had to take a boat to come across to the mainland, to play his cricket from very poor background. But when we look at Shanjapal, where he came from, and we all know that it's when Shanjapal, was playing cricket and was able to get some funds, so to speak, is when he actually paid to get his education. We all know that. So I am saying, for certain persons, they would probably fight and push and dig deep, more than others, because we, in the Lesser Antilles, so to speak, small islands, are accustomed to certain things. We are accustomed to maybe chisque meal, maybe to go to school, have an education at least up to age 16 and stuff like that. In certain parts of the Caribbean, this is something foreign. This is something foreign. So we understand, certain things. But Mr. Brand, West Indies cricket, once upon a time, was as such that I can recall a story that one of my good friends told me when we were going to school. He was afforded the opportunity to go to Australia to the World Scout Jamboree back then. I'm not going to call his name, but if you know who I'm talking about, you know that he ain't know much about cricket. And he went to Australia to the World Scout Jamboree, and he told me, that we were very good, we're still good, that when they're playing cricket and they ask where you're from the West Indies, everybody want him and their team.
He don't
know much about cricket. But once he said, I am from the West Indies, everybody picking him, he's the first pick. So I am saying this, it is just, back then, it's like Garden Greenwich. I remember when we used to go to school, who don't want to be Garden Greenwich, want to be Desmond Haynes, want to be Loogie, want to be Richards, so I mean just the name. And right now, as you rightly said, the World Cup, those big, what are they, big three? England,
I think it was 4 of them.
Australia, England, Australia, India,
and somebody else.
Possibly New Zealand. They are, imagine back in the day, I was privileged to witness Test cricket in Antigua in '94. Same Test match that Brian Lara broke the record, and he made 375, I think it was. I think the record was
the same Test match that Stroud made his debut in, I believe. Was that the same?
Stroud played. I'm not sure if he made his debut then or back in, if he made his debut in Guyana. The match before that was in Guyana.
He made his debut in Antigua.
In Antigua, okay, fine. So
that was the same Test match.
Right, and Keith Atherton was playing in that match too. So we had twin divisions. I think Walsh was the captain because Richie just had an injury or something like that. So Courtney Walsh captain that match. And I went to the match every day. And I can recall going in, I think it might have been the fourth day or the third day when Lara broke the record, and I had an appointment, so I got to the grounds a little late. And everybody had a little radio and listening and stuff, because cell phones and stuff, not going on. And when we heard, the amount of runs, Lara had and stuff like that, and they have the security checks and stuff. Everybody just trying to rush to go in because they want to see that, big crowds, big crowds. I mean, I'm not seeing these kind of crowds at Test cricket anymore.
But Roger, you are not seeing this size of crowds at Test match cricket because we are not playing half of the amount of Test matches that we used to play.
True.
When West Indies go to England, or England come to the Caribbean, or go to, it's at least 5 Test matches.
Yes.
We are doing well if they even playing 1 Test match now.
True. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Precisely. So, the whole setup have changed drastically, and it is now all about this. Even the 50 over game appears to me that it's dying a slow death, because not as many 50 overs now are being played. It is all about the T20, the excitement, the colors and all of that. Getting your stadium filled for 4 hours, 5 hours, and that's it. But it goes back to the question that I asked earlier. What is and was the objective of CPL?
I am not sure if I could answer that question. Well, but I believe that maybe there's a main objective, but I think that there might be objectives, and I believe one, to make money. It's run as a business, eh?
I am fully aware of that.
So money must be a part of the equation. So to make money, I would also want to believe that to create an exciting atmosphere, as it is dubbed the greatest party in sports. 2, it is held in the Caribbean, so I want to believe to harness some talent, in the Caribbean region. And I am not sure if there are other objectives. There might very well be other objectives, but I believe that there must be at least those 3 objectives amongst others.
Let me ask a question, and this is probably a question for both of you gentlemen. We have now had CPL for what, 10 years?
12.
And I think that we have had the experience over these 10-12 years to look at what we have accomplished during that period, and how the development of our cricket throughout the region, if we were to quote unquote raise a magic wand and say these are the 2 or 3 things that we would like to see change with CPL, or the structure of CPL, what would those things be? I would let Naya go first.
1, 2, or 3. well, first, more inclusivity of national players. That to me is very profound. Because I think one of the objectives of CPL is to develop the talent, or should be, to develop the talents of young and budding cricketers. 2, like I would like to see the island represented, being promoted a lot more. As I look at the outfit of the Patriots, Minister Nevis and it at all this time, boy. And I understand it costs a lot of money simply to put Nevis on it. And I don't see that. I'm not even sure if I still think it's in it, to be quite honest. It's there. And you know, and thirdly, but I don't think the CPL make money, you know, comparing to, you know, other franchise and so forth, to be quite honest. I think some kind of academy or something should grow out of it, and in some way be financially supported by it also, you know. These hopes for me are pretty vague, you know. But also the development of the grounds in the area, you know. As we sit here and speak about CPL and the history that Nevis had, you know, it makes me really think about Grove Park in a serious way. And
E.T. Willett Park.
Oh, sorry, the E.T. Willett Park. The E.T. Willett Park, yes, in a very serious way, the development of that facility, and not to go off in that direction, but I as I passed there recently, I find we very soon will have to do something very serious with it, because I see the wall below is a major storm. We can see a lot of things going wrong there, and so here we are developing the youths as one, two, the development of the grounds and facilities, you know, and I suppose that would come under the development of the island, and the development, not just, you know, seeking talent, but in a supportive way, nurturing it, in a sense that, I mean, these youths in their endeavors, in their practices, and in some way earn something that would be encouraging to them to pursue their goals, you know, because sometimes that helps, don't it? If you want to come a good cricketer, come on, you're playing. Now I get no money, now I get no financial support and so forth. I mean, if that is happening, it would be very much conducive to your development.
Roger?
Yes, thank you, Honorable. Yeah, I believe that one of the stipulation should be, especially for the smaller, I don't want to say franchise, but the smaller islands that have these franchise, the Antigua Falcons, the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots. I believe that one of the stipulations, I believe we have enough cricketers around, that at least one local player at all times, whether we want to call it a quota, whatever terminology you want to use, should be included, and that would give rise to a lot of things, you know. Naya spoke about the CPL might not be making money, and what this would do, it would encourage the crowds to come out to support the local guys, so to speak. Over the years, we didn't see any locals at some point in time in the St. Kitts Nevis Patriot team. Yes, I know the argument is going to go back that it's a franchise. I know, I understand. But you ask a question, and I'm just trying to address it the best way that I feel as if that it should be addressed, coming from me. I also believe that I know they have training camps. I think in recent time they would have come over to Nevis, and they have a St. Kitts Nevis team, play against a Patriot 11. I believe that we should have more of these matches. I believe we should have more of these matches to show the owners and whoever else that we can rub shoulders with those who are being selected to the St. Kitts Nevis Patriot teams. I also believe that if the team is carrying the name St. Kitts Nevis, this is where the development of the grounds come in again. I believe that we in Nevis should come up to speed to host CPL matches. Take for instance, I think it might have been in 2021 when all of the teams were hosted in St. Kitts, I guess because of COVID. That would have been an opportune time for Nevis to get a fair share of the pie in terms of a certain number of matches being played in Nevis. I believe, I am not sure if we are doing enough to promote Nevis as quote-unquote a cricket destination, bearing in mind that Mr. Willett would have been the first Leeward Islander to play for the West Indies team. And I am saying this the same way that I would say that I am not sure, and I'm not straying because I just want to make the comparison. I'm not sure if we are doing enough as an island, as a country, to promote us, knowing that Alexander Hamilton was born here and he's the face of the $10 US bill. Come back to cricket. Willett is the face of Vivian Richards. Willett is the face of Andy Roberts. Willett is the face of Curtly Ambrose, Eldine Baptist, Winston Benjamin, Kenneth Benjamin, Bouncing Joseph, Keith Atherton, Derek Parry, Carly Tuckett, Renako Morton, Mr. Powell, Kyron, Louis, Jeremiah Louis, Mikhail Louis. If you understand what in the context that I'm trying to bring, so to bring cricket to Nevis, I believe Nevis should have been, the yard, so to speak, for cricket. Nothing against my brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, but I'm just saying, if we open the gate, what do? We open the gate and then close it on ourselves? If we open the gate, let us have the gate open to invite with an open invitation. That is what I believe in terms of the facilities, the training camps, and to share the number of games. I think that need to be looked into. And remember, these owners of these franchises are millionaires. They have money, so maybe somebody need to reach out to them, have a conversation with them, and remind them that, hey, if you're using our name, you're using our name, and our name must mean something, So those, I think I would agree with Naya with all the the other points that he would have made, Mr. Brand.
Let me ask, gentlemen. We spoke about the development of the E.T. Willett Park. Do you think that we lost an opportunity in, I believe it was in 2017, when the World Cup came to the Caribbean, and there were quite some opportunity to
17?
It was 17?
07.
It's so long?
Yeah, 07.
I'm off by what, 10 years?
Yeah,
Oh goodness.
07.
The point I'm trying to make is, do you feel that we lost that opportunity? I believe we have a caller on the line. Yes, we do.
Hello.
Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Good night. How are you doing?
We are doing fine. How are you?
I'm enjoying the show you have right now about cricket.
Yes.
And all the points that these guys are making. This is Rebel?
No, this is Spencer Brand.
Spencer Brand?
Yes.
Good night, Mr. Brand. It's nice to see you, boy. You look sharp, you look young. Good night, Mr. Brand. You are the face of this talk that gets result.
Well, our great host, Mr. Everett Weber Herbert, is off tonight, so we are just trying to fill in and keep the show going. Go ahead.
Yes. But I mean, you just I think not you, Mr. Brand, but the other guy who's speaking before. What is his name?
Roger Fifield.
Not Naya, the other guy.
Roger Fifield.
Roger Fifield?
Yes.
Roger Fifield? I don't think I know him. But what I'm saying, I think he mentioned that you all open the gate and you keep the gate closed.
Yes.
And what I'm saying that he was making some, and you're aware of all this, Mr. Brand. You're aware of all this. But last year, even to get for him to get knighted, I know an organization in Nice get together and they put some names together who want to see Willett nominated. Did you sign the petition?
I can't recall ever seeing that petition.
Huh?
I don't recall seeing that petition.
But you never heard about it?
I've heard about it, but I've never seen it.
Oh, but you don't got to bother with the petition. You're a member of government.
Yeah.
You're a member of government for many years, and now you're a member of parliament. I mean, all you have to do is push the right buttons, and you get this done.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello? Hello, the caller is still there?
All right, well, great show. I'm enjoying the show.
Caller.
And I noticed that you guys put out a development plan with all the projects that you all are making. Right? All the projects that you all have online that should come to fusion sometime soon. Is the development of El Community Park is in that? Or is on the agenda?
The truth is that we have looked at one or two possibilities as to what we can do with the E.T. Willett Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say to you that we have seen that in some parts of the region where some territories would have built new facilities, abandoning some of their premium cricketing facility. Let's take, for example, Antigua. I think that there are times when we wrestle with whether or not we do something new or whether or not we do what we need to do at the E.T. Willett Park.
Mm-hmm.
It continues to be a conversation that occupies our minds at times. I have seen a concept as it relates to the E.T. Willett Park. And we have seen what St. Kitts would have done with the Warner Park facility. Here in Charlestown, we have some similar challenges in terms of parking. We are not necessarily playing any test match. I don't believe that St. Kitts and Nevis would ever really seriously go after marketing test match. But when you think about T20 50 over game, I think that is where the focus is. And
Yes.
when you look at where the E.T. Willett Park is, if you are thinking about trying to fit 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 persons in there, it can create some challenges. That has been one of the things that I believe we continue to wrestle with. Personally, from my personal view, and this is the view of Spencer Brand, and let me make that very clear. With the kind of history and the kind of prestige that we have at the E.T. Willett Park, I believe that we can develop the E.T. Willett Park to host those regional and some of these T20 games that will not
before the games too.
right, that will not necessarily have a heavy impact when it comes to traffic and when it comes to parking and those kind of things. So it is very possible, but I think that we just need to look at it closely. I would not be so quick for Nevis to go the route of some other territory and do a complete brand new facility. I believe that we have a lot of history and a lot of prestige at the E.T. Willett Park that we can capitalize on.
But you just made the thing there about Antigua when they moved from the ARG. You could have walked. Just like you used to walk from downtown. You go up there, go to the game, you go back home. When you finish work, you go up and finish until the game done. Right? And I am not thinking about no new venue. And I'm sure, I never hear that before. Everybody is saying, and I believe that we need to develop E.T. Willett Park.
Well, caller, you're not going to get any argument from me. But
You made yourself abundantly clear.
right,
You say, as far as you are concerned,
yes.
that is something you will do.
If we were to look at the Antigua situation, right? And again, this is my personal. I feel that Antigua would have
Benefited more this that ARG.
exactly. I feel that the kind of history for the Caribbean that took place at ARG, I believe that Antigua would have benefited much more if they did in fact develop the ARG and remain there.
Mr. Gwen, if I can come in here in terms of the ARG, I believe one of the reasons why they would have moved Test cricket out of the ARG and took it to North Sound, is that the ARG, I think, was heavily overused. The football was played there, and also the carnival activities. So I don't know, but I believe that's at least some might have been part of the reason.
Well, I
St. Kitts have carnival in Warner Park every year.
When Lau when he broke Sober's record, I was there too. And just like you say, everybody had a little transistor radio exciting. I mean, that's going to happen in Antigua.
Yes.
I think the E.T. Willett Park is a perfect cricketing ground, and it needs to be developed. But sometimes, to be quite honest, you talk about certain things and everybody thought you're talking politics, but really it has been neglected in a very serious way, given the history. It's not too small. Everybody know at Lords in England, sometimes the ball will come out and drop on passing cars, windscreen and all that, and it is one of the greatest cricketing ground in the world. I drive past that all the time in South London. And so I think the E.T. Willett Park is a perfect cricket ground. A cricket ground doesn't have to be too big, to be quite honest, but it's been neglected throughout the many years for whatever reason. And it's time something is done about that.
I think, Bran and Carla, when I was growing up, one of the things that I used to hear is that they would have, to build up, in terms of maybe stands going towards the school area, and vehicles would be able to pass under, and it can build up. I don't know, but that was bantered about in years gone by.
Yeah, but I don't think they have to go in nothing elaborate.
I don't think so.
They could just park up the same place where you're saying up there, and they fix up on there by the school.
Well, park anywhere, I mean, parking is always a situation. Park anywhere.
So we're talking about dressing rooms, the room for the players and the kind of stuff.
Right, I'm not speaking parking. I wasn't speaking to parking Carla. What I was speaking to in terms of you know, if you know how what we call the villa ground, the school ground.
Yeah.
I think is that the is it northern? Is it the northern side?
Yes.
Southern. The south of E.T. Village Park.
Okay, fine, thanks. That area, to raise it up maybe on what we call pillars or piles or whatever they are called, and then you have stands erected above, and then the vehicles will continue up the school road without hindrance. So in that aspect, you're making space by going up. So you can have your dressing rooms, your stands and everything just cover around, and then you go up on to the eastern side by the school board on the hill, come around and you build out doors and stands.
That's quite elaborate.
Well, I mean, and now you have the minister there, and I understand what he said, but I'm sure if you guys put some sort of committee or put some sort of
Hello, caller still there?
Yes, I'm still here, sir.
We need the money.
Huh?
It's a financial thing.
Yeah, I'm still here, and I'm listening to what the guy I feel is saying, but I don't think they have to do anything elaborate. You do something cost effective, right? You improve the pavilion itself. Make sure you have the dressing rooms and the IP, whatever you need to do, so the place could be more attractive, and that when they're having these games around, maybe the ODI, T20, the 4D games, some could play in university because it's a good economic thing there for the country.
Caller, you're absolutely correct, and I believe that in these small island, we can also capitalize on the benefit of sports tourism. I think that is a sector of our economy.
Let me make a little suggestion to you.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I understand that Lime, whatever the name, they're not paying any dividend. Right? Maybe you could go and approach them and let them come, Lime and Flow, they come and they make an investment there.
Caller, I've took note of your suggestion, and I think that is worth exploring.
So if you all need help, I could come and give you all some help,
All right, caller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brand. You're a true politician.
All right, caller. I want to thank you for your call, and thank you for your intervention and your suggestion. Yeah, certainly well appreciated. And
just one more thing.
Yes.
After they just concluded CPL in Guyana, everybody is criticizing the three Trinidadians who are part of the commentator team. Right? They had about 29 or 30 something people there. Right? I believe what we need to be doing, we need to be pushing for our people. I know we have Carla probably Nevis, who is very knowledgeable. We have Ronan Springer in St. Kitts. We have Carlton Dupont, and we have Troy Mills. These are people who could push to get things done. And when they're in there, they're going to be in touch with all these people sponsoring all these things, and they could try to help you all. I mean, that's the way you all want to go, because honestly, I don't believe that that's what you all want. I understand what you say, Mr. Minister, right? But I don't believe that's the direction that you all want to go.
Macaulay, let me ask you a question. You call some names, Mr. Powell.
Commentators.
Yeah, Mr. Powell, Mr. DuPont, Springer.
What and Springer?
You call a fourth person.
Try Mills.
Mr. Mills, yes. We had a portion of the CPL tournament here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
You felt then that perhaps they could have been even given that opportunity to be commentators here while they're in our home territory as well?
No, because
As a start?
there's a process.
Yes.
There's a process. They have to either apply to the CPL, the owners, whoever they are, and then they go from there.
Okay.
And then if they're accepted,
Yes.
when they're playing in St. Kitts and Nevis, in Antigua, anywhere, they'll be part of the commentatory
Panel.
team.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Mr. Brand and your team, Nayo, and
thank you.
I feel.
All right,
Great
sir.
evening, great show.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Night.
Thank you so much. All right.
Brand, I know that a cricket stadium could be built out in many different ways. And that's one of the ways, as I said, I would have heard about from since growing up. And that is one of the ways I think could be explored. Of course, you can have bleachers in places like New Zealand. I think it might be Christchurch, where you hardly have any stands, and people just go on the grass banks and they come out like they come to a picnic. But what I believe, if we are going to do that concept, the pavilion that we have now, John Eha will probably install. Yes. The pavilion that we have now, we have to build it out in such a way, to accommodate two teams with their management staff, the coaching staff, and what have you. We also have to build out a proper media boxes.
We got to eliminate the road. Eliminate the road, because one time...
I think we have hold on a second. I believe we have another caller online. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Very interesting program, and I think, reality is reality. Hope is hope, and all these different things. The fact is that El Camino really made Nevis team when? 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I don't even know. I think it's more, even closer to
51 years ago, sir.
Okay, good.
9th of March.
51 years ago. We have not done much in Nevis to do anything with El Camino with the park. We have gone and we have built a drag strip for car racing. We have built a Mundo track. We have spent a lot of money on C50, renovating all sorts of stuff. And nothing has been done to El Camino with the park. We boasted about the most test players per capita in the world. Nevis, 7 test players. And we have allowed that to slip and slide. The players themselves, everyone with it, David Parry and all these guys, who have put a lot into cricket. I don't think they're interested anymore, because we don't do anything. Every now and again we have a talk that sounds good. And even if we decide to do something, we talk about hotel rooms. People are going to come to Nevis, they're going to need hotel rooms, they're going to need place to eat if you have visitors coming here to watch cricket. It's a lot of things, and all these things, I don't see anything realistic coming out of it anywhere in the near future. Number one, that much people don't go to watch cricket test matches. We're talking about test matches. And test matches, not much people go to watch test matches 4, 5 days, in a week. I think talk is good, but I think it's more futility than anything else. That if we have not seen it in our wisdom to do something with the community with the park, it's such a rich cricket history. What are we going to do? We had one person who went to the Olympics, Corwin Wallace. We have a Mundo track which we use probably 2 or 3 months a year. and the more you say the time, I don't see any good common sense in discussing these things, because to tell the truth, it's not going to happen in our lifetime. The authorities have not done anything substantial for us to see that they are interested in doing anything with the community park.
Caller, I want to thank you. We are just about out of time. Gentlemen, who want the last word?
Well, Brian, just a quick response to the caller. I believe that anything that is worthwhile, we should discuss, even though it may not happen in our lifetime. We should continue to discuss it, just like maybe a mango tree, a coconut tree. We plant it for generations to come.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the very many listeners for joining us tonight on this edition of the Let's Talk Show. Please remember that this show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 10 a.m. until 12 noon. Please join the Honorable Mark Bantley for his On the Mark show on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and have a wonderful night.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.